Welcome to the one and only Comic-Con Podcast, your podcast for comic book news, reviews, and comic community drama, with your hosts, Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manimal. Are you listening?
Hey everybody, welcome back to Comic-Con Podcast Season 4, Episode 45. We are here in November, mid-November. It's the 13th. We're recording on Wednesday today, but you're listening to this on Friday or later in the week, however that goes. But with me as always, Justin, aka Nemesis Prime. What's going on, dude?
Not too much, man. It's a pretty busy week here for the podcast. We just dropped our review for the Penguin. So if you've watched the Penguin, just make sure you check that out. Got this episode, and we're going to be doing a little extra bonus content that'll be dropping next week. But
and if you haven't watched the Penguin, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, right.
What are you even? Who are you? But yeah, check that out. Check out our review on the Penguin. I think you might be shocked about how much we shit all over it. Just kidding. No, I can't imagine anyone saying anything bad about it. But yeah, check it out. We had a lot of fun with that one. But we do have a special guest today. It's kind of interesting. We were just on his podcast recording for an episode that we'll talk about that'll come out later in a couple weeks or so. But we have Tim from Uncensored Nerds joining us over here at the Comic-Con Podcast. What's up, Tim? How's it going, man?
I've never seen the Penguin.
Never seen a Penguin?
Not at all.
Okay,
I've never seen the Penguin. Well, because
Justin, boot him.
It's because I'm waiting until it all finishes.
Well, it's all done. You're good to go. It's game time now.
Okay, so this is probably unpopular opinion, but
let's hear it.
But I did not like the Batman.
That's not super unpopular, and I get it, man. I remember when I first saw it as well. People were all, "This is the best Batman movie ever," and you just seen like Nolan crush it with the trilogy, and I liked it well enough. It took me a couple watches to actually really be like, okay, like I'm liking this more and more. But like I get it.
Well, because the thing was, like, I've talked this to my friends a lot, and he's like one of my best friends. He's like a big Batman fan, right? So he likes the Nolan universe, but not as much. And what he always wanted is a more detective focused Batman, right? Mm-hmm. And I kept telling him that if you do that, if you take the animated series and make that to a live action, it's going to be boring as hell. No one's going to want to watch it because it's just him doing detective stuff. It's better if you just watch it in animated form, in episodical, and reading it in the comic book episodically. If you put it on the movie, there's so much that needs to be told that it's just going to be boring. It's a bunch of talking. And lo and behold, they made the Batman more detective-eccentric Batman. And I'm just like, punch somebody already, man.
There could have been more Batman, that's for sure. More Batman would have been good, but I liked the noir. I liked the detective aspect and the darkness, and
but you can't repeat, right? You can't repeat Christopher Nolan stuff. You can't repeat like the Tim Burton and the Schumacher stuff. So let's change it up, right? Mm-hmm. I think if the DCEU would have continued, I think the Scott Snyder stuff, and I think that Batman would have done different things. Like they set people up, right? They set up Deathstroke, and that was the big talk. It was going to be Batman versus Deathstroke in a movie. And that would have been amazing because the fights would have been great.
You could tell the DCEU was superhero. Like it was like there was no like cut away all the frill from each character, whatever makes them kind of unique in the books. We don't want that. We want superhero.
Kind of all the things that makes them interesting. I think that in my opinion, if they approach Batman kind of like a Lewis and Clark, Dean Cain, remember that show, Dean Cain?
Oh yeah.
Lewis and Clark, New Adventures of Superman. Mm-hmm. If they approached it that way, that Batman is a secondary character, but you focus on Bruce Wayne himself, because Bruce Wayne is always taking a back seat. Like he's a bachelor, he does all this stuff, but Batman. But if you focus on like what he is actually as a person, and then Batman is just like here and there once in a while in the shadows, I think that's like a very unique take on like a Batman universe kind of stuff, right? That's like something that's never been done. I mean, they did it in Lewis and Clark, I guess, but and it worked as that. But a lot of people really like the with the Twilight Batman, I guess. So
Well, now that it's over, you need to go and watch it.
Yeah.
And then when you're done, you can listen to our review and see if you agree or disagree.
You'll like the Penguin, man.
I haven't listened to that review because I'm just like, I haven't seen the Penguin yet, right?
That's what we're saying. Yeah.
So now I'm like, I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna listen to your review. But it just that the Batman just turned me off from the Penguin. I'm just like, yeah, but they could have just hired that guy who voiced in Inside Out. What's his name?
Colin Farrell?
No.
Inside Out. Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. The imaginary character that in Inside Out. What's his name? Bing Bong. That's it. Bing Bong. Yeah, the guy who voiced Bing Bong. Colin Farrell Penguin looks exactly that guy. I don't know if you guys want to look.
I didn't watch it.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he looks exactly
Riley's imaginary friend. Yeah.
Yeah, why don't they just have that guy do the Penguin and like Colin Farrell's like whining, is like, oh, I have to sit here for 10 hours. Well, they could have just gotten that guy, then he would have just been ready to go.
Who was it? I was actually listening to one of my favorite podcasts is Bad Friends with Andrew Santino and
Bobby Lee.
This shit just it's so funny. Like that dude, I love that podcast. It's like one of my top podcasts, if not my number one podcast, besides Uncensored Nerds and the Comic-Con podcast. Of course.
Oh, thank you.
And they were actually, it was funny, they were talking about Penguin today. I'm listening, I'm like 3 episodes behind, so it's like 2 old, 2 ago. And he was talking about, Andrew's like, yeah, I'm on the episode 4 of the Penguin. He's like, yeah, keep talking about Colin Farrell keeps bitching about sitting in makeup for like 4 or 5 hours. Why don't they just get a really ugly fat guy? There's tons of ugly fat dudes in Hollywood that they could have gotten.
Right?
Like, damn, it's brutal, bro. Like,
I know. It's like, what? Be happy that you're in this franchise, man. Damn, right? And they're doing like a second, and they're doing like a second season. Well, apparently he did really, really good, and is being considered for like an Emmy, I think it is, or a Golden Globe or something like that.
Yeah.
But I avoided every single spoiler on that. I just watched something else. Like I just watched Tulsa King. I was watching Agatha at the time, and I was watching there's a TV show called Ghosts. That thing's hilarious.
Where it's like they live in the house. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, and they live in the house with all these ghosts, and then she's the only one who can see all these ghosts. Yeah. Like I watched that, right? So I watched those, and then well, I mean, like I have a 2-year-old, so I watch a lot of Bluey.
Dude, Bluey. Oh my God, let's talk. Bluey's.
I'm out now.
Bluey is amazing,
loop, bro. Bluey is amazing.
Amazing.
Justin, do you even know what Bluey is?
I know what Bluey is. Yes.
Okay, so Bluey it's wild. I mean, first off, it's only like 8-minute episodes, and even for adults. Okay, Tim, look, I'm gonna air some dirty laundry here for myself. Okay? So, Tim, you don't lie, okay?
No,
there's some episodes that make you tear up, right?
Yes, that's 100% true. Because
that's 100% true.
The thing that made Bluey so good and why adults love it, like me, I look forward to watching Bluey with my kid. Okay, like they have like the Bluey shorts. I was telling my kid, I was like, "Yo, Bluey's up," and she's like 2 years old. She's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Right? So like the thing with Bluey is that it's for kids. It teaches kids how to be kids and being that stuff, right? There's lessons for kids, but the underlining meaning for the episodes is so adult directed, right? Like there's stuff where it's like they're talking about infertility, right? The sister, right? She's like, oh, why can't Aunt Chili have what she wants? Like, well, it's just not meant to be. And you kind of just the way the camera is shot, you're just like, oh, she can't have kids, right? So, and then the second last episode of the 3rd season when they're moving, wet.
Oh
dude,
she showed because Chili is Bluey's mom, and Chili's sister can't have kids, and she's talking about it. And there's a whole episode how they don't really like it. They don't spend a lot of time together because it's hard for her sister to be around Bluey and Bingo, the kids. She feels so sad about it. And then like the final episode of the 3rd season, they have a big wedding and Chili's sister shows up and she's pregnant. And they don't talk like, see, it's not like talked about. Like, they're not like, oh, you're pregnant. It's just like, it's for, because kids aren't clocking this.
No,
But it's
they
for
don't.
like the adults like us. Tim and I have to sit here and watch
Yeah.
this crap, and like you see it, and it's like, oh damn, dude. Okay.
It's the way the camera is shot and the
Yeah.
way that the adults are talking about it, right?
Mhm.
Like there's like this episode where like Blue and his sister Bingo were playing like they're in an island when there's no adults,
Yeah.
right? And then their dad is the only adult there. They're teaching their dad how to like fish, like pretend, right?
Mhm.
How to fish and how to make fire. At the end of the episode, you kind of have this sense that the whole episode is about don't take things too seriously. Sometimes you just gotta be like a kid too, just have fun, right? Have fun with your kid. I'm like fucking tearing up right now, man.
It's crazy. It's really good. Yeah.
My eyes are watering right now, man. Like,
it sets the bar way too high for parents though too, because I'm like the dad bandit is like constantly playing with these kids. Like, I mean, he has a job, right? And like but you never see him working. But anyway, I'm like, dude, there's no way you're not exhausted. How are you playing these games all the time with these kids? But
there's actually a message board out there. If I can find the link, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, do.
There's theories about Bluey. People are making theories about Bluey because the episode of Bluey is shot in Australia, but there's 2 episodes that they're not shot in Australia. Somebody found out they're actually shot in Bali. So that means if they go on vacation in Bali, they have to make a lot of money.
Yeah, they got some money because they work from home. It feels like
they work from home and all that stuff and everything, and how like Spike is like really rich too as well. Like they have a pool and everything. Justin, you gotta watch.
Did you know, Justin?
I'm just having a one-way discussion
about Bluey.
I'm just having a one-way discussion with Zach in here and like everyone else listening.
It's amazing.
For the people that are still listening to us and they're still with us for this episode, I apologize. I didn't realize we were going to be a kids show this week, having a new guest on. I don't know what this is all about, folks. But
so the final thing about Bluey, final thing, why it's one of the other reasons why it is like such a good show for kids is also, so if anyone's out there like trying to, you struggle with, right, like you don't want to put your kid in front of a TV and you don't want to like give them a tablet and have them watch all this stuff all the time, right? And one of the things like we looked up, my wife did all this, the research, and was like looking into shows that are good for the kids. And it has to do also with like the length of the show. It's only like 8 episodes or 8 minutes, and the animation of the show. So it's not,
so
the frames, it's not triggering like a lot of brain activity where it's like getting them all hyper and stuff like that. Some of these like ultra realistic shows, like another really famous one for kids is like Miss Rachel on YouTube. And it's overstimulating them. So there's something really like about Bluey where it's really good with like the story. There's storyline, there's music. There's not too much music that it drowns out like real stuff. And it just stimulates a child's brain better than like it doesn't overstimulate them. So
dude, you don't let your child watch Miss Rachel?
So he liked it, dude. And but like, we started to kind of like see that. And it's more of like when we're on a road trip and he's like losing his shit or something, and I was like, dude, give him the phone, give him the Miss Rachel, like have her babysit for this dinner out or something.
My kid watched Miss Rachel. Like this is where the break is, Justin. So you can butt in later now, in a little bit. For me, my kid learned how to talk quickly and sign language at 17 months. Because of Miss Rachel, because she does sign language and all that stuff, right?
There's really good stuff with her for sure.
Yeah, I don't let her watch Coco Melon.
Yeah, no.
Like no, Coco Melon, they'll go to zombie mode, man. Like I've seen like some research on it, like because of the frames per second and how bright the colors are in Coco Melon, they just kind of zone out. And if you take it out, it's like a drug. They turn into like little freaking zombies, and they start like that's where you get the Menendez brothers kids. That's how they develop to be Menendez brothers, man. It's crazy.
So moving on from that, Tim, tell us a little bit. I can honestly talk.
So that's for the Bluey episode.
Yeah, we're gonna do our own podcast.
We'll do a bonus Bluey episode, breakdown of Bluey episodes. But tell us a little bit about, for our listeners who may not know about Uncensored Nerds, tell us a little bit about your podcast and what you do.
Yeah, so Uncensored Nerds is a podcast channel that's exclusively on Spotify. I'm not on YouTube or anything. I went exclusively with Spotify there. I only have like clips on my YouTube channel, but the channel itself consists of three shows in there. One of them is Collector's Haven. The other one is called Random Nerdy Podcast, which is something similar to what you guys are doing in here. And the anchor of the channel, which is called We Got Issues, is where I interviewed a lot of creators, artists that you may know, Adam Kubert, Jim Starlin, Clayton Crane, Tyler Kirkham, the Miranda brothers, those kind of that kind of interview process where you kind of learn about their process and how they actually draw or even write comic books, right? So it's a little bit more in-depth kind of interview. So think of it kind of like David Letterman. I don't know, he does that special in on Netflix. So it's a little bit more that kind of stuff in there. So I interview them and they go really deep into like their viewpoints of like how the industry is, where it's going, how it's going now, and where it's going to go in the future, that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, no, I've been doing that since 2017 when I had my store, and then throughout the whole pandemic era. So I was fortunate enough to benefit from the pandemic. That a lot of people didn't know what they were going to do anyway, so they just kind of listened to me. They had no choice. Yeah, to like listen to me. You know, and then my big break for the podcast was with Todd McFarlane. When I interviewed Todd McFarlane, he had till this day I still say that I owe everything to Todd McFarlane because he had no idea the podcast. I probably had like 3 listeners at the time. It was me, my wife, and my sister. My mom wouldn't even listen to it. And he said yes to it, and that's where I had my big break. But I've been in the comic industry since 2007. Had my LCS in Miami in 2017. Sold it before the pandemic hits. But yeah, no, that's what I do, man. Just podcast full time.
That's awesome, man.
So, Tim, you know, I appreciate you coming on here because, you know, we like to have guests. We have community members on here, IG community members, YouTube community members, writers, artists. You know, what's that process like? Like trying to get, you know, a writer and artist, because you do this full time. So I'm sure recording is all over the place.
Yeah. So essentially, like, you know, I'm fortunate enough that, again, that I've been in the industry since 2017. So you kind of know a lot of you gotta get to know a lot of artists. You gotta get to know a lot of writers, especially when you're going to cons, conventions. You see them all the time, right? At one point, I was actually doing CGC witnessing for Tyler Kirkham and Ryan Otley, right? So it's nice that you can just you know, give them a quick email and be like, hey, is there any way that we can you guys have time to do a podcast, that kind of stuff. But yeah, no, the process in there is that there's a lot of scheduling. So I'm a one-man band. I would say 2 because I have a co-host too as well. We're a 2-man band, and essentially I have to do the scheduling. I have to do the scheduling. I have to come up with the questions and all that stuff. You have to there's a lot of coordinating that happens in there. There are some points where, let's just say, Ghost Machine is man, I love their stuff. Just a side note.
Yeah.
Well, I got lucky enough that, you know, these are the guys that I admire, like Jason Fabic, Jeff Johns, Francis Manipul, Peter Tomasi, and all that, right? That when they were first starting, I was like, hey, why don't I just email their website and see how that goes and see if it works. I emailed their websites, their representative got to me, and then we started scheduling things, right? So it's a lot of work, man. Yeah. It's a lot because I do the editing too as well. So I would edit everything. So from videos to audio, all that stuff in there. So I guess that's just my process there. I just have like a routine. After that, it just becomes like muscle memory.
Yeah.
You know, you just kind of like, oh, edit this. Oh, I don't sound like that. Bass too high, too low. And then you just kind of, you know, go through it. And
Yeah,
you know,
I remember that for us. I mean, we've been doing this for 4 years now. I remember the first few episodes with Zach and I. It was different with an audio side. I would have to go through and actually edit. There'd be times it would be just dead air, and you can't have that on a podcast because there's no video.
no,
You don't know what the person's doing. So I would have to go in and
no.
clip out like a 5 second. And now it's just natural. Zach and I have been doing this for so long that we have a good camaraderie. So we know, when one stops speaking, one kind of continues, or hey, we have no problems if someone wants to butt in. It's easy.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easier that way too. Like, I had those issues too as well with the dead air. I'm like, how do I get rid of all these dead air? But after a while, I'm pretty sure that you guys start to see like you're becoming an expert on this like sound thing, like how to level off sound and all that stuff, right? For me, I'm just like, man, I can do this, man. I could probably do this for some people, man. Who do you got? And then all of a sudden, you'll have that one episode where you sound so horrible and you're just like, well, maybe
we've done
not
that.
then. You're just like, oh, maybe not then. But no, it's a whole learning process. Like I never took any class on sounds or anything, right? Like you can see like I'm using like a SM7B. It's not because I thought this was the best one. It's just that a lot of podcasters were using this. I'm just like, oh, it must be the best one, right? And then you look at the stats and you're just like, oh, that's why they use it all the time, right? So it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to learn on the fly, right? So I mean, like you guys have been doing this for 4 years too. You guys, there's some stuff that you guys just picked up, right, from a lot of people by just watching them or listening to them, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had our origins kind of came from the YouTube era a little bit. Like we were both on other channels, and then obviously Lords of the Long Box. A lot of our expertise or learning came from TiVo, from Lords. Taught us a lot of stuff on what to do and everything. And then sometimes we just get little cameras or little microphones and we record next to homeless dudes in Baltimore as well. So I mean, that just happens. Sometimes we like to just do it on the fly. This guy just sits down next to us and babbles about sports. So
it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, that was a good episode. Just random, or driving in a car and recording off of your phone. That's listen, we try to do it every week, and that's why we have the listeners who we have, and we want to give it to them, and we never really want to miss a week. I mean, I think we did miss New York Comic Con because we were both there, but I mean, we try to do as many as possible. So
it's hard sometimes because sometimes you're just kind of like talking to yourself sometimes too, right? So well, I mean, like you guys have each other there, so you guys are talking to each other. One of my shows is called Collector's Haven, where I give my opinions on things that might be going through some changes there a little bit.
Tell us about all your different shows, actually. Break down.
Oh, okay. So I'll start with Collector's Haven. Collector's Haven started out as something that's nowadays I don't like, because if you look through some of the Collector's Haven, there's a lot of hate that's actually that was on that particular channel, but then you see it evolve to something else. It becomes more opinionated instead of just spewing out a lot of hate on it, and then it becomes more investigative kind of content now, which it might evolve to something else, which might evolve to that. I meant I'm probably in the process of changing that to a more investigative kind of a podcast. And then you have your random nerdy podcast, which is similar to what you guys are doing right now, just like just talking shit, right? So sorry,
we don't mind. We say worse than that.
You said a lot worse shit.
Yeah.
Then fuck then.
That works.
So essentially just like a bunch of old people just talking about comic books, right? And just like whatever pops up in your head, and you just talk about it, right? Like fucking Bluey, right?
Yeah.
Again,
Bluey, dude.
Freaking awesome, right? Yeah. Justin, just get on it, man. Just shit.
Is Blue's Clues still around?
No.
Blue's Clues has never been good since like Steve. That's just my opinion. But anyways.
All right.
So that's what Random Nerdy Podcast is. And then We Got Issues. I get a lot of artists asking me, it's like, why is it called We Got Issues? Like, do you have an issue with me kind of thing? No, We Got Issues.
It's a play on books. What do you mean? That's a good, I think it's a pretty catchy name. We got issues. Like
thank you.
Hey, we got creative issues.
Hell
we also got issues of comics. What are you talking about?
There you go. Thank you, man.
Sensitive ass creators, bro.
Like a lot of people didn't get what that meant, right? And then I have to explain to them that We Got Issues before, when I did the podcast back in 2017, when I had my comic book store, is that I used to promote certain books that's not selling too well, but it's a really good book. I would have one of my employees talk about the book, right? And he would say what he likes about the book and what he doesn't like about the book, right? And and that's why we got issues, because we have issues of that book.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it just we got issues just went through the evolution, and then it just became an interview from your favorite creators and artists and writers now, right? So that's where we got issues from. I just didn't want to change the name because the name already has a staple on it and it's already recognizable. So that's why when you look at the title thing, it says since 2017. But when you look at 2017, you're like, well, this is not interview. It's just some skinny guy talking about some books. Like, what the hell's going on in there, right? That's where it came from. So, but yeah, about a year ago, I think it was, I made a decision to leave YouTube, and with someone's advice, went exclusive with Spotify. So all my contents are all in Spotify. I just use YouTube as clips so that it will lead you to Spotify. So if you're interested on those, so
cool.
That's what I would do. That's what I do. Sorry.
Oh, it's awesome, man. Yeah, I've listened to a bunch of your interviews. You're interviewing all the top tier writers. Like you're interviewing a lot of top tier writers and artists, and it's really awesome. I mean, that's the stuff that Justin and I are always talking about, and we talked about it on your show a little bit. Obviously, is more the talking about what's going on now, the current books coming up, like the weekly books, the things that are still breathing the lifeblood into comics, not the spec, not the top 10s, not the Silver Age classic storylines, the stuff that's already been there and done that, and it's great, but with no new stuff. I mean, that's the things, right? I mean, those are the creators. And Ghost Machine, for example, right? Like getting those little groups of people, those creators together, and then forming their own little universe and the Ghost Machine stuff. And like you said, they're crushing it. I haven't read, has not been a Ghost Machine title that has not been good so far. And everyone announced still coming out, I have high hopes for as well.
Mikey is not even out yet too. He has a book called Soulless. It's not even out yet too.
I can't wait for Rockefellers to come out, which initially I was like, oh, okay, I don't know, this looks kind of weird. But then now as they build steam with the other issues I'm like, okay, like these are all very solid. I'll pick up every single one now. Like you've built enough that I trust what you're doing moving forward. So I think that's what we need in the hobby is more creators creating new stuff. Of course, you got the big two, they have to stick with the legacy characters but absolute stuff's great. And you're still getting new content.
Yeah. What I can tell you about Ghost Machines, man, that Rockefellers is bigger than people think it is. It's way bigger than what people think it is. Like I can't say anything. I can't say too much about it, but like it's bigger than people think it is. When I was interviewing Tomasi and Francis Manipul, it's something. I think they hinted a little bit on the issue 2 when they posted about it on their Instagram on how big Rockefellers is going to be, right? But I think if you actually look through the episodes that I have, there's some tidbits in there. Sometimes they would drop some spoilers. The biggest one was Stephen Platt. Stephen Platt, obviously you guys know Moon Knight and all that stuff, right? The biggest reveal that he ever dropped on me, which I never knew, was the fact that he worked with Joseph Kahn. I don't know if you guys know Joseph Kahn is. You probably know him as video music director for a lot of artists. So like in the mid 2000s.
Oh, yeah. Like you're talking about like he did all the old like TRL guys and stuff like
everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He did all those music.
Yeah.
All those
he was
music
the
videos.
guy. Yeah.
He was the guy, right? He actually been working with Joseph Kahn the whole time when he was retired or not in the industry. He was doing everything Joseph Kahn, right? And that's how he got the job for Iron Man. So and he said on the podcast he was the storyboard director for Iron Man. So everything that we have seen for the last 12 14 years of how the MCU is shot per shot was because of him. He He was in Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2. He did the storyboard for those. So everything that you're seeing and how cool that the hero landing, the very first hero landing of Iron Man, when he shot that rocket to that tank, and while he's walking away, it exploded. The iconic look and iconic scenes from Iron Man 1 and 2, it's all him. He's the one who did all that. So that was like the biggest thing. Like, I didn't know he was part of Iron Man. He's like, yeah. He's like, I also worked on a really fun project that just ended like a couple of years ago. They just released it this summer. Twisters. I'm like, you worked on Twisters? He's like, yeah. The storyboard for Twister was him. It was like, that interview was like blowing my mind, because he's like my most favorite artist, and I thought he left the industry, but all this time he's been part of at least us old people's growing up with Joseph Kahn music video and MCU. It's crazy, man. So Stephen Platt, that was like that's one of those shocking interviews that I had, cool, man. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool, dude. Yeah, that's awesome stuff. Well, if you guys haven't listened to Tim's stuff at the Uncensored Nerds, make sure you check that out. Like you said, exclusively on Spotify. Lots of great interviews, lots of great content over there. So make sure you cruise over and check that out. And coming up a couple weeks, look for your boys, the Comic-Con podcast, on there as well. So
they're gonna be there. So if you guys don't like the fact that we talked about a lot with Bluey, there's no Bluey there. I didn't know.
Dude, now I gotta get Justin. Now I gotta get Justin watching Bluey.
Man. You gotta get Justin to watch it, because I didn't know about Zach's obsession with Bluey, just me. But
dude, it's my son.
Amazing.
He'll go Bluey, and I'm like, okay, dude, put it on.
it's like I look forward to that thing.
I don't know. I want new episodes. I want seasons. They're gonna come soon, I think.
One last thing before we make Justin's
articles
like his brain just explodes in here. Okay, you know that there's new episodes of Bluey that drop, right?
They have the mini-sodes, right? Like I've seen
the show.
Yeah.
Okay. So you knew,
but they have, and I read season. So each season is like 50 episodes, Justin. FYI, but they're also like 8 minutes.
8 minutes,
so
that's
they
You can go through the whole thing in like.
And they filmed them all. Like they filmed all of them. When I say filmed, they created its animation. They did them all. So when I was reading, I was like, well, was there anything new coming out? And they're like, well, they had to take a break because they're exhausted. And but they're working on, I think, 4, 5, and 6. And one of the other interesting aspects about Bluey is not like Simpsons or anything else like that. Like the characters age. So like what Bluey's age is at the beginning of season 1, she's like 2 years older, and so is Bingo. And so then like they're the sisters, and then as they keep going, they're going to continue to age, which is very interesting to watch them kind of like go through life and stuff like that. So it's honestly, like, no jokes aside, it's really good. So
I like just for me, I don't know about you, Zach, but I want to see where Mackenzie grows up at, because Mackenzie has PTSD. So there was that episode with the PTSD thing. So
I like
look at Justin's face.
Rusty. I like Rusty, dude. Rusty, who plays cricket. Rusty's my favorite. He's pretty cool.
Oh my god.
So anyway, okay.
Everybody's gonna be watching this show after this.
Dude,
everybody's gonna be checking it out who doesn't know it.
It's not like this is a well-known show, man.
I'm sure it is for people that have kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
Well, but if you don't have kids, you should still watch it. That's the thing, man.
Listen, I'm sure I will probably be putting it on at some point.
Check it out on Disney Plus. Yeah.
Oh, it's on Disney Plus. Well, then I have it already. Then it's perfect.
You got to give it some. Well, actually, so it's like through. It's on Disney Plus through. I think you'll just get
Hulu or I have it. I'm sure I have it. I have every streaming service. So.
Anyway, okay, let's move back into. Let's move into some comic book content. Okay. Let's get into some articles over here.
Talk about some comic book. There's a Bluey comic book.
The Bluey comic book that's coming out on Marvel. Okay, so this comes from Marvel.com. We've kind of talked about this a couple weeks ago, and everyone knows after the end of oh my gosh, mind blank. Oh man, what was the event that we just
Blood
did?
Hunt.
Blood Hunt, yes. Jeez. Into Blood Hunt, where we saw Emperor Von Doom become the Sorcerer Supreme. So we know that there's kind of the imprint moving forward next year in 2025. One World Under Doom. So some new information, Red Hulk rages into One World Under Doom and new ongoing series. So Benjamin Percy and Jeff Shaw's Red Hulk is a tie-in series to One World Under Doom launching in February. So we haven't really seen Thunderbolt Ross and Red Hulk. And as you know, it's coming out in the new Captain America movie. So of course, Marvel had to bring him out of the basement wherever they were hiding him and bring him back into the forefront of comics. But it kind of seems really cool. And, just read you a little synopsis. So Thunderbolt Ross, in a cell deep below ground, is a prisoner of Dr. Doom, and he is not alone. Brilliant military, criminal, and political minds have been gathered against their will in a prison complex that serves as a think tank to help carry out Doom's plan for global domination. But the Red Hulk has other plans, guest starring Machine Man, Deathlock, and more. So Benjamin Percy teaming up with Jeff Shaw again from their time on the Sabretooth Wolverine War. There's a quote from Benjamin Percy. He says, "So I proposed a story in which Ross would be kidnapped by Doom and forced into a think tank prison in which he would test out various wartime scenarios. That's where we begin. In a book that does not give you a second to breathe, it moves and moves and moves with constant action and tension." So this sounds really interesting to me. I know it's just a tie-in. And I'm not crazy about these little event tie-in, things coming off, but I've really loved what Benjamin Percy's done. If you're talking about like intense characters, the stuff he's done with like Ghost Rider, the Wolverine Sabretooth War, I can't imagine him not knocking out of the park with Red Hulk here. What do you guys think about this?
Yeah, I'm excited for it for the simple fact of, like you said, they brought him out of the basement, man. I can't think of the last time Thunderbolt Ross was around, like the Red Hulk series. Or there's been nothing going on, especially with Hulk, because even the Hulk series that we've had, the Al Ewing stuff, the Rom V stuff, has never really brought the Hulk. It's always been new introductions of new characters, and they've had all these other Hulks around, and you haven't really seen them in forever. And like you said, I mean, we loved the Wolverine, the Sabretooth War. That was amazing. So Benjamin Percy back at that, especially such a violent character in the Red Hulk. I'm sure it's going to be amazing coming out in February.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about Benjamin Percy, the way that Benjamin Percy writes, he doesn't write it's not a slow burn. How's that?
Yeah.
It's he'll take you to the action right away, and then he'll just let you let the story progress as the action is still happening. So for him to do Red Hulk, I think that's like a perfect fit for him. Just because you already know about the Red Hulk, because I think every book that he's been attached in has been something along the way, along the whole, you already knew about the character, like the Wolverine and the X-Force and the Predators and all that stuff. So you can get the whole introduction out of the way and just get to the point right away. And that's where he actually flourish,
Yeah. There's not a lot of fluff. He gets right to it. And with action-packed characters like Wolverine, Ghost Rider, X-Force, Wolverine Sabretooth, I mean, these are all, like you said, violent characters where it's just game on. And I love the addition of seeing characters like, when's the last time we saw Machine Man or Deathlock either, right? And like, when you say Deathlock, I'm now wondering which Deathlock are we talking about? So I think that's really cool too. And so, this will definitely be, I'm pretty picky about like tie-ins, especially when it comes to Marvel, because they overdo, like just do too many. But this would be one I would for sure pick up and feel like confident about for the World Under Doom stuff. One World Under Doom.
The only problem with the tie-ins for me is that when he does, well, not him, but when Marvel does tie-ins, it's always not in order. It's kind of very weird because you're reading the comic books all in order, and then the tie-ins would come out, and that's like out of order.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense. You're just like, okay, am I reading this?
Yeah.
Like, am I reading this in between, or am I reading this after, or what's going on in here, right?
Yeah.
So that's my only problem with my only problem with tie-ins when Marvel does tie-ins. Even when DC does tie-ins, but DC is a little bit more fluid with their tie-ins. Like, for example, I don't know if you remember Dark Knight's Metal, when I believe it was number 1 when they first introduced all the different Batmans. Right after that, they had the tie-ins, right, which is like each individual Batman, and then they're just introducing them, like how Bruce became this villainous character. And then right after that, they introduce you the Batman Who Laughs from Teen Titans. So it kind of flows a little bit. It's like, yeah, these are all the characters here. And then finally, the Batman Who Laughs, right?
Yeah.
Like the first introduction. So it's a little bit more flow where like Marvel is a little bit more just like that, and then they're just like tie-in. You're just like, okay, well, where am I reading?
Yeah,
like, where
we
am I
know that
reading
just reading the Venom War stuff right
Yeah.
now is so confusing. And even like the Blood Hunt stuff, there's always either a 3-issue miniseries, 4-issue miniseries, or a one shot. And you're like, well, where does this fit into the main 5 or 6 issue, series storyline?
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of weird too when it's like my problem, my other problem with tie-ins with both companies is that the tie-ins also follow the numerical numbers of the previous books that you're reading. So if it's like everybody knows Teen Titans number 12 is the first introduction to Batman Who Laughs,
it merges with the ongoing,
exactly, and you're just like, what the hell is this? So I don't know. I think I'm just like a neat freak that way. I have OCD. I'm just like, why am I gonna put this freaking book in my short box? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
No,
It's
cool.
It's very odd.
So sticking with Marvel.com and One World Under Doom, kind of dovetailing into this, we have the One World Under Doom 9-issue event series. So this is actually like the ongoing main story being told over this whole like imprint, I guess. It'd be 9 issues starting in February, I believe. Yeah, February it comes out. Written by Ryan North, who recently was a current run on Fantastic Four, drawn by one of the industry's hottest artists, R.B. Silva, known for his work on X-Men, Powers of X, and Rise of Powers of X. So, yeah, a lot of stuff coming. We know there's going to be big changes with Victor Von Doom. If you, spoiler alert, maybe, if you read Amazing Spider-Man 61, The 8 Deaths of Spider-Man, we kind of saw our first, it just dropped today, Wednesday, your first kind of foray into this Sorcerer Supreme aspect of Dr. Doom. You get it in there a little bit. So I'm pretty excited about this. I like what they say about it. I like the excitement North has talking about it. He says, Doom to me is the ultimate villain because even when he loses, he wins. He's not some guy you can punch a bunch until he stops doing crimes. He's a man who's thought deeply about how to achieve precisely what he wants and how to ensure others are manipulated into supporting him. One World Under Doom opens after Doom has taken over the world overnight, and there's a mystery in how he did it, how he got everyone to acquiesce to his rule, but there's also a bigger and more terrifying question now that he's taken over the world. What is he going to do with it? And what will the Fantastic Four and the Avengers do to stop him? So I'm pumped. I have my doubts always when it comes to Marvel, like you said, on these things, but Doom is top tier characters in comic books, and we haven't seen a strong Doom focus in a long time. And so I'm really looking forward to this stuff. I'm really hoping it's strong.
I feel bad for Dr. Von Doom, man, because like he is a top tier character, but he's a type of character that doesn't care how much L that he takes as long as he gets that one win. He's like the Philadelphia 76ers version of comic book. Like he'll tank as much as he can, but just as long as he gets that one win, like World War Secret Wars, that's all that matters. He's like, I don't care how much times I lose. It's like I'll get back up again, drop another plan, lose again, and then I don't care. I'll do it again. Just as long as he gets that one win. That's the thing about Doom. I'm looking forward to this because this is his one W for the longest time, and it's gonna be like, I think it's gonna be the biggest W that he'll have since like Secret Wars. You know what I mean? Like when during Hickman's run of Secret Wars.
Yeah, we haven't seen a powerful Doom like this since Secret Wars, right? Now he's got the Sorcerer Supreme. He's got the Strange Academy kids with him. I remember at New York Comic Con at the Marvel booth, they had him riding the giant T-Rex. So I guess that's
going to show up too, they said.
Okay, so that plays into something. But yeah, it's crazy because for the most part, and we know this, right? If you've been reading comics for a very long time, Fantastic Four has never been a strong series. It's gone a very long time, but it's never been a strong series. And you have such a powerful character to come out of the Fantastic Four. It's probably the only reason why the Fantastic Four has survived all these years is because of Doom, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't help but wonder too, right? Because Marvel does this. Like the books could come out, like we said, we got Red Hulk coming out. We haven't seen him in a long time, coming with the movie. We know with the announcement of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom coming out in the Avengers movies moving forward. So I have to wonder. And we also saw, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, how every year, remember, they were doing Timeless. They had the Timeless issues and really setting up Kang. I'd love to know behind the scenes if this one world under Doom was always planned, or was Blood Hunt going to be leading into a Kang type thing and really pushing it that way? Because Marvel really times these things with their movies, right?
Mhm.
And so I wonder if this was always the plan, or
Well,
was there
the
an
Blood
event
Hunt.
with Kang?
I think the Blood Hunt was supposed to tie into Blade because the Blade was supposed to be
Right.
released the
Yeah.
year after, and they were leaning
Yeah.
towards Blade's daughter,
Yeah.
right? It was
And trying
supposed
to
to
get his popularity back up. Yeah.
yeah, it was supposed to pass him down and all that stuff. So, you are right. I think they tie in all these comic books into promotions of
Mhm.
the upcoming movies, right? So, Blood Hunt, I think, was supposed to be for Blade the following year, but that didn't turn out. No, well, we know how
Never
that
see
turned
that.
out.
Yeah.
And
It's
then
off the
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 Kang
board.
thing. Yeah, right. So and then the Kang thing, well, we also know how that turned out. So
Yeah.
now they have all these Doom stuff coming out to promote what's coming out with the Robert Downey Jr. stuff, right? So
Mhm.
I mean, hopefully it pans out to something, because then Marvel is gonna start milking that again. Kevin Feige
Yeah.
is gonna start milking Doom more often. You're gonna see Doom everywhere in comic books, and you're just gonna be like, oh man, I mean, I miss that Doom that just takes L's all the time now, man.
Well, look,
You know?
I like it. I liken it to, it feels like, and I hope it's going to be a lot. And we mentioned this before, a lot like Dark Reign. I like that era of comics where you had Norman Osborn in charge of Hammer instead of Shield, and he was like the top cop in the world, the new Nick Fury. And there was this underlying like shadiness because it's Norman Osborn, and it kind of like infiltrated all the books across Marvel. Like I liked that idea, and I hope we get some of that and we feel that in this one world under Doom, where we feel Doom's presence in all these other books because of what's happening in the world of Marvel at the time. Because I really felt like Dark Reign was a great era, and like the stories were all influenced by that period of time. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping they do. Or that's what
I,
I'm hoping it works out.
well, I think that Marvel's up for a reset. I mean, um, there's a lot of things that's happening right now that's not. It's not that it's literally all over the place, because I mean, most of the time when comic books are kind of all over the place and they're just have storylines coming out of their buttholes here and there, and then it's really good, and then whatever hits and all that stuff, which is fine, right? That's basically how comic books industry works. So you
Mhm.
throw in a storyline. If it works, you move forward with it. If not, then you scrap it, right?
Yeah.
But I think they're up for a reset, the same way that DC is resetting a lot of stuff right now too as well. Well, not resetting, but they're giving you Elseworld essentially, right?
Yeah.
Along with the gun universe, right? So I think that if Disney's going through this change with Marvel, I think they should go through the exact same changes on their comic book side, and hopefully Doom is what triggers it a little
Yeah.
bit, right? I think they're just due for a reset.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue into our next DC article, Justin.
Yeah, so coming over from CBR.com, DC goes all in on brand new Zatanna series, My Girl Zatanna. So hot off the critically acclaimed Black Label miniseries, Zatanna is receiving a brand new series as part of DC's All In initiative, designed to spotlight the many amazing characters that reside in the DC universe. The new series will be written and drawn by one of my favorite new artists, Jamal Campbell, who launched the current Superman series, and writer Joshua Williamson, following DC's Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So this series will be a 6-issue miniseries, at least to start, what the article says, which will launch in February. And besides Campbell, who is also going to be coloring the book will be lettered by Arya Mahar. So what can we look forward to for Zatanna? So the synopsis says that the series will take Zatanna taking her stage back together with the plans towards having a calmer, regular routine than she's been dealing with the last few years of the comic book time. But her plans are ruined when a new villain known as the Lady White kidnaps her crew and forces her down a chaotic path to rescue her friends. Um, interesting stuff because I know, again, audio podcast, but they do show some of the concept art, and we actually do get some cool characters in there from Zatanna's world, like Blue Devil,
I like Blue
Madame
Devil.
Xanadu. Huh?
Yeah. I like Blue Devil.
Yeah, Blue Devil, Madame Xanadu. You have Brother Knight, and we're going to be seeing her father and Cinderella as well on top of this new character called Lady White. So getting into the magic side, I'm liking that they're using someone other than John Constantine in her series because that's I feel like the one problem that we always have with Zatanna is, well, Zatanna's going to be there. That means John's going to be there at some point. So
and he always takes over. He always just takes over the story a little bit, you know. Yeah.
He's just that damn interesting.
It's true. I mean, but he can dwarf other characters, and it is cool. It'll be good to see Zatanna kind of get a little breathing room on her own.
He just reminded me that Justice League, what's it called? It's Crisis on Infinite Earth that they have on Max right now. It's like, yeah, it's Crisis on Infinite Earth, but then and then Constantine just took over the whole storyline because it revolves around him.
Yeah.
What? He's not lying, man. He just takes over everything.
Wow.
It was really odd for that storyline to kick in, but then it goes full circle if you've watched it for, you know, all the DC animated movies. But yeah, I agree. He shouldn't have been like the center focal point of that, but it was a way to tie in and end it.
But the real question is not about John Constantine taking over. The real question is Zatanna interesting enough to actually carry on the series? Because, I mean, when's the last time that you actually read a Zatanna book and be like, yeah, you know, this is really nice. I'm gonna follow this for the next 52 issues, and you're like, right?
Justice League Dark. She was strong in Justice League Dark. Yeah,
I was just gonna say. I mean, like Justice League Dark. There was Justice League Dark, but then again, that was anchored by Swamp Thing and maybe a little bit of Constantine because Swamp Thing has its own thing going on with the red and the green and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So it's not really like a Zatanna-centric one. So I think it's going to be really interesting. Jamal Campbell being the one who's doing the art on it is going to be fantastic because he's the one who first. I think it's a good promotion too as well with the lanterns coming out on Max because they're introducing the new Green Lantern, the one that he co-created. I don't know if you guys remember that with the sunglasses.
Samara. Oh God, I can't think of her name. Samara.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jamie. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Cool character.
Yeah, so Far Sector one, right?
Yes, the Far Sector. Yes, you are right. Yes, Far Sector. So I think it'll be a good promo for Jamal Campbell too as well. So, but he's fantastic artist, man. Like he's the most underrated artist. I seen him in cons, like nobody's there. I was like, why is nobody not here? It's like
he's created multiple characters. He helped create Naomi. He helped create Far Sector Green Lanterns. I mean, how are you not popular as most of these other artists out there? You know, Superman's amazing with his art. I love the new Superman series. So this should be, you know, right up his alley. I think the only thing that's going to be interesting is how DC is going to accept his writing for the first time.
I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. I mean, like if his writing is just as good as his art, I think he'll be fine. It's just that the character has to be really interesting, and Zatanna hasn't been that character that's been like, I'm looking forward to spend $3.99 on a Zatanna book. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm gonna go over there. Here's a $3.99. Give me the Zatanna book kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things. You can make a character interesting again. Like yes, Jeff Johns has a name, but he gave Aquaman his dignity back in New 52.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People went and grabbed Aquaman books again, right? So it's just one of those things. Like, is Zatanna interesting enough, or how are you going to make Zatanna interesting, right?
Yeah.
You know, and they talk about this saying that, you know, hot off the last miniseries, that Down to Earth Black Label, right? And Black Label was amazing when it first came out, right? We got Batman Damned, you had the Joker, the Harleen, you have Swamp Thing, there's the Wonder Woman. And when they announced Zatanna, I was just like, oh my God, I can't wait. Because it's out of continuity. It's a completely different thing. And it wasn't. It was just, to me, I didn't like this last series that just ended with her. So I'm hoping this is a revitalization of her as a character into the main story roster of the DC universe, like post, you know, the events, you know, and where she's been, because she did help out Superman. So I want to see what it's going to happen with her going forward.
Yeah, I think I also think that this is just my observation and kind of small little theory on it. I think Zatanna could be an interesting character, but the way that she's dressed is far more interesting than what she can do as a character.
Of course.
That's the thing. She's
All the
it's like
backwards talk, dude. I've talked about it. It's so obnoxious. I can't read
it's
it.
like it's literally because the thing is that when you look at Zatanna, you're just like, okay, she is actually part of the most important magical family in DC universe. Yes, but then you look like someone who has an OF. So you're just like what is more interesting? It's like your family's background or the fact that you have magic, or am I going to be paying $5.99 for a subscription?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I think they should just change her costume and focus on the story, and I think people will follow. Yeah, there's gonna be some bunch of guys who are just like not googling anymore, but I think that if you change the costume and made the story interesting, people will follow. Look at Green Lantern with the new Green Lantern that just came out. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, she's gone through some costume changes. I liked her New 52 first Justice League Dark series. I think that was she had the pants on and she still had the white top, but at least, yeah, she didn't look like a magician. I think they brought back that classic look because that's what everybody kind of knows her as. But I think the New 52 version was probably second, I would say best as far as to make her a mature and a, relatable character. But yeah, obviously everybody likes the magician's girl.
They even gave her heels. Like, you don't need heels. Like, I don't know why you have heels. You got boots. And they have heels and they're like 7-inch too.
Yeah.
So we got one more article? You want to do this
Yes,
one?
We do. Yeah.
Finish it off.
Absolutely. So, I know Zach has talked about this, the G.I. Joe Kickstarter that just did what did it do? Almost
like
half
$3
$1
million. Yeah.
Yeah. Close to $500 million. I'm still waiting for the Transformers one to start up. But this one is coming over from dynamite.com. So Dynamite Thundercats comic book classics finds new life through backer kick. Fans can sign up and get early updates and exclusives. So Dynamite Entertainment and Warner Brothers Discovery Global Consumer Products are excited to announce and tease a historic first backer kit campaign in their partnership. Their expansive project will bring the timely 40th anniversary of Thundercats franchise in 2025, and the perfect way to connect and engage directly with the most diehard fans as the most legion of newcomers spawned from the Juggernaut comic book series in stores each month. So it is going to be involving the complete collection of the Thundercats comic book series, which was originally published alongside the TV show back in 1985 to 1998. 1988 series ran for 24 issues and is going to have some premium offers from formats and collectible options. So starting soon, but over at Dynamite, you can actually check out some of the information. But this is something that I feel like right now, as popular as Thundercats is with Dynamite Entertainment, this is a perfect to get people that I feel like it's harder to actually go back and try to find all 24 issues. To be honest, I only thought it was like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries. So I'm excited because I don't only own Trent Thundercats 1.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is the perfect opportunity for someone that wanted to read those old issues. You go ahead and back this, and you're going to get a ton of cool stuff. So you're going to get the old school Snarf, you're going to get old school Lino. And like I said, as far as what's going on in the current Dynamite comics, we'll soon see Skybound and my boys do some good Transformer stuff. So what do you guys think?
I never really got into like Thundercats comics. I like the toys.
Yeah,
the toys were nice, and the cartoon shows, it was really nice. Snare, like snare. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, like I got into those, but like it never really translated well into comic books. It's like I think it's one of those things where it's like a toy first and then a comic book, or like you said, simultaneously the exact same time. But I don't know. I like Thundercats, like the toys, but never really like the comic books, like the Lino and all that stuff. The sword, I think is awesome, man. But like,
yeah, those cartoons, the nostalgia obviously is amazing with all that stuff with especially our generation. But it was kind of a harder. Besides G.I. Joe, and I mean, I know Justin, you're a big. I would even say the early Transformer stuff, the Marvel Transformer stuff, isn't the best translation either for like those kind of Joe has probably been the most successful in terms of comic book adaptations of like the cartoon shows, right? Like even Voltron's was okay, wasn't great. Thundercats, 24 issues is really not a lot of issues. I mean, that's 2 years of current, 12 issues a month or 12 issues a year. So it's really not a ton, but I think it's cool. Like I like the nostalgia. I think it's the right time, right hot off the heels of what they're doing right now with Declan Shalvey over there and everything that's going on with the Thundercats stuff. I mean, this is the time to strike on it. So the collected formats of all this old stuff, like you said, Justin, it's hard to find all these things to go back and read them if you wanted to. So I think
they don't even make because they don't make trades, right?
Yeah.
There's no trade paperbacks for any of the older stuff. So you got to spend hard-earned money that, sometimes it's harder to find these books. It's more expensive to find these books. Probably for the price of the first 3 issues of Thundercats, you're going to be able to buy the entire 24 issue series,
right?
And get a ton of cool stuff as they get unlocked.
And like big time writers like David Michelini, Jerry Conway, like these are not like schlubs that are out here writing, So,
well, I think what made G.I. Joe really successful is because of Larry Hama.
Oh yeah.
He wrote it based on experience, because he did serve and all that stuff. So he wrote everything in, kind of just writing it. Like I imagine him going through like, something like he's like imagining Vietnam and all of that, and then just writing it over, right? That's what makes it amazing, right? It's kind of hard to like have Thundercats, someone write Thundercats and remembering when they were Thundercats. Like
you don't remember your time on Third Earth, dude? You don't remember?
Yeah,
like
how
those mutants came after you.
Exactly, like how you saved Lionel and all that stuff. Like it's kind of hard, right?
Because I remember Mumbra.
I remember
Mumbra back
then. It's kind of hard though. So I mean, the way I look at it is that I think what would make something like this very successful is someone who is like a big fan of Thundercats. You know what I mean? Because like the biggest fan, kind of like a Channing, like a Channing Tatum Gambit fan. You know what I mean? Like he loves Gambit so much. Like he lived through Gambit. So someone who really loves this kind of stuff. Thundercats, that would really, really make this very successful. You can throw a lot of names in there, but if they're just writing based on like how they write, and they're just like, oh yeah, I don't not much know about this character, it comes out of the page and you're just like, this is kind of garbage, man. Like what the hell? So I think a real fan should write something like that, especially if it's directed to someone like myself who's never really read the book before, and you're just saying like, hey, read this book, it's gonna be good. I'm like, is it really though? Is it kind of like the toys, So so that's what I think. I think a real fan should actually do that book. That's just my opinion at it though.
Yeah. Well, something to look out for sure. The collected edition out there.
Yeah, because like let's just say if Zach and me made a Bluey comic book.
Bluey, yeah. Fans.
It would be one of the most it will be the most successful.
It would be, dude.
Bluey, I'm gonna have nightmares about this tonight.
There's no way. There's nothing bad that ever happens in Bluey, dude.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just thinking about it.
It'll be the most. We will be signing books at cons for you, Justin. If we ever do that, it's gonna be crazy. I'll call some artists that I know, man. I'll be like,
thank you.
I'm like, Adam Kuberts, please please illustrate Bluey for us with 3 claws too as well. I think that would be amazing.
Let's round this out, wrap this up real quick. Let's talk briefly on weekly reads real quick. We'll keep it short and sweet. Because I know there's some big issues that kind of came out this week. Justin, you got 1 or 2 books you want to talk about real quick?
Yeah. So I'll talk about obviously Absolute Batman #2. Excellent issue. Continuations of Bruce Wayne in this new all-in, Absolute universe. Him kind of like just the costume alone does so many cool things, right? You get more gadgets just from what it can do. How it looks, there's different shapes, and I think like you really need to look at the art to actually notice that there's certain things that are happening that's not really gadgets. It's actually his cape or the suit, which is really awesome. And I think the involvement of Alfred as this secret agent guy that we talked about in the first issue, So I definitely think that is up there for, one of my reads. And again, we're recording this a little early, so I didn't get a chance to read everything. But the only other, and I guess, we could talk about Psylocke real quick. I know, I'm sure you have Psylocke, right?
Yeah.
You want to just pick up
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. Go for it.
So I was actually surprised. I liked how this started off. So you have the Uncanny X-Men team, Cyclops' team. They're all in the issue, and he's basically putting her on, like you're basically in timeout, right?
You're benched.
Yeah, you're basically benched. You can't do what you want, but she says screw that anyway, and she has her own, her own mission. I think the art's fantastic in it. It introduces like a new character and what she's going to be doing going forward, and I just love how the way that they show her powers in this issue is probably the best that it's been in a very long time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's back to like, I mean, this is when you think of Psylocke, you think of this version of Psylocke, Betsy Braddock, obviously, as the ninja, the Asian ninja, like badass, awesome, and then now, obviously, since the Krakoa age, you split and you got Captain Britain, Betsy Braddock, who sucks, and now you have Quanon as Psylocke, who is amazing. And I love I've talked about it before, like the relationship with Grey Crow, I think is great. Just a bad guy marauder who's not so bad, and they have a great relationship. Yeah, I was really enjoying this issue, and I love the way they write the character, and I'm looking forward to it even more. So
last book, just pick of the week, Transformers 15 or 14. I'm sorry, Transformers 14. We had the origin of Starscream continuing from the last issue, where we actually saw him as a good Transformer and kind of being tricked to come aside the Megatron Decepticon lot. We see post what happened in issue 13, and we finally get a little bit more introduction of the G.I. Joe stuff in this issue, with the Decepticons, which is nice. And again, more. It's kind of almost like now we have like a third team. There's him, there's Astro Train, because he's right on the cover, so I'm not spoiling anything. And then some other people who are, if you're an old school G1 Transformers fan, you know who he sides with as far as a combining team, which I'm happy to see. So I can't wait for the next issue.
Yeah.
So I'm liking this whole origin and changing it up, because he didn't want to do, like, if you read it, he doesn't want to do this stuff. He doesn't want to be a Decepticon in a way. He doesn't want to kill. Right, yeah, it's almost like it's been beaten into him by Megatron. So it's very interesting to see him kind of twist over into this evil, maniacal executioner. I think even like Megatron says in the issue.
Yeah. I'm just going to talk about one book, because I know we're kind of, and then we'll see what Tim is thinking as well. So G.I. Joe came out this week. Yeah, G.I. Joe #1, obviously from Joshua Williamson. John Universe is the final big title that we've kind of been waiting for. We've had all the little miniseries, Destro, Scarlet, Joe, or Duke, and Cobra. And then now we've got the G.I. Joe, right? So really fun. I liked where it started. It gets like right into it, which was great. In the battles, it's going to be interesting. It's weird to think, because obviously, like, you think about G.I. Joe and Cobra and from the cartoons and when we were kids and everything, and they were like, even like, right, could go up against each other. But this starts off really where the Joe team is like, they are low tech, and like they're going up against Cobra, who's got the inner John, and Destro with Max Industries and everything. And it's just like, you're like, bro, you ain't gonna make it out of this alive, dude. Like, so it's kind of fun to see the Joes like on the back foot a little bit. And
because for the longest time they have everything, right?
Yeah,
they had all the good stuff, right? So they had all the good stuff. So now, it's a really good approach by Joshua Wilson there. That what would happen if you have the Joes and then you just take away everything? It's kind of like what would happen if, like, you take James Bond, you take away all the tech. What is it going to look like? It looks like Casino Royale, right? It's going to be like that. So I think this approach to the Joe is something very unique, in my opinion, in the last Joes that's been written by Larry Hama, that's never been done before.
Yeah,
I in my recent memory, I guess, that you took away everything and you're just like, here's a pistol, now do something with it. Here's a knife.
They're forced to be very reactive, right? And so they're always going to be a couple steps behind, is what it feels like right now, because they're a brand new team, and like everyone else has these technological advancements, and even the talk, and there's a lot of like spoiler. I mean, it shows Optimus Prime in here. It shows it's talking about the robots and everything. And so it's all blending, and definitely the Joes are, they gotta make up some ground here in this universe, because yeah, they're on the hot foot right now. So, but it was good, man. I really liked it. I'm excited moving forward. I like the lineup. Could like it a little bit more. There's a few other characters I'd like to have. Some of the characters I'm not super interested in on the Joes. Like
some new
Stalker Decay.
characters. There's some
Yeah.
new characters in there that are I didn't recognize their names, and I don't know everybody in the GI Joe
Right.
universe. Like some people do, but that last page got me. I actually laughed
Yeah.
out loud.
Yeah, that was crazy. But it was good, and I'm looking forward to it. What about you, Tim?
Batman, the Batman ones with Scott Snyder. That's actually that's actually something that I always been very interested in seeing.
Mhm.
You know, ever since the very first image of Batman, I was like, this is Brock Lesnar. That's who it is. It's literally Brock Lesnar. You know, I think I want to know where actually this goes. I know it's an Elseworld series, but I think this is one of those Elseworld stories that may just cross over to the main Prime Earth Prime for DC, because it's very grounded. Yes, it's the most grounded Batman that you can ever read. Like his Batmobile is a freaking like it looks like Devastator. That's his Batmobile is the Devastator, right? So I mean, I'm more interested on like how his cowl works. I think that's the biggest mystery on the book itself. Like how is it moving like a symbiote? Like do you have like a trigger for it, right? So and the whole Alfred thing, I think that was okay. The whole Alfred approach that he's a spy, but that approach of Alfred being a militian has always been there anyways. Like I think they explored that in the New 52 and the Batman TV series. I think it was because he's the one who trained Bruce, right? Because you always wonder like who trained him. It's like, oh, now you're like kind of wondering like who's training Bruce. I'm more interested on like how they're gonna where this is going to progress and how they're going to incorporate all the other characters from this. Like, is Dick going to be his partner, or is it going to be like his best friend, right? Something like that, or is it going to be his brother or something like that? So that's the thing about Elseworld. It can take your imagination anywhere, and they can give you the biggest spin of all, and they're just like, man, this is amazing, and it's not affecting the Earth Prime. And I mean I think that's what makes it really cool. I still like I know Justin mentioned this earlier. I'm just segueing now. I still like the Black Label. That's just my opinion. The Batman Black Label. Just
all that stuff is great. From a lot of the early Black Label stuff is amazing. There's
people
one
just saw
sentence.
Too much penis.
Oh well, yeah. Other than the first issue, then you're like, whoa! Everyone's like, I'm in.
Just set the tone for the Black Label.
Yeah.
I was in, man. I was in. I was like, I've always wondered what Bruce Wayne's penis looks like. Now that I'm seeing it, I want to see more of it.
There is one sentence in this issue that has got me super excited. They mentioned the Red Hood gang as a resistance group.
Yeah.
I really want to see what is that about. Like, is that going to be Jason Todd?
Yeah.
Or like, what's it real?
And then even the poker game, right? With all the villains, dude. And it's so interesting. It's an interesting like idea of Bruce is sitting there, right? And he's playing poker with his rogues pretty much, right? And like they even imply that like Oz is mixed up in some shit. Like, hey, dude, you're kind of side of the life, but Bruce doesn't seem to really bother. He's like, whatever, I don't care. And then that implies that Riddler's kind of this like hacker kind of guy. Is like, hey, what do you know about this stuff? He's obviously like hyper intelligent, but some implications there that this isn't his first time like hacking shit and like knowing how to get through stuff. So, and even Harvey Dent kind of comes off kind of like a douche in a way, like, oh, I'm like the lawyer guy and like high society, So it's very interesting the relationships he has with these people, and so much different than obviously main universe. And it just is. It's exciting. It's exciting, and it's hard to make. And it's not fair because Batman is a very strong title always through DC, but it's hard to like break new ground with a character like Batman and to make you excited about it like that. And it's really cool. So all the
Yeah.
absolute titles, man. I felt that way with all of them, Wonder Woman and Superman. So
Yeah, no, those are all good. I think that their next book should be somewhere like a Jason Todd book, because I don't think they've done Jason Todd character justice. Because if you've seen him during the Red Hood storyline for Batman and the Hush storyline and all that stuff, he was more of like a murderous kind of villainous character that's kind of lost, right? But then when the New 52 came about and all that stuff, all of a sudden he became like the sex maniac who's just like has PTSD and all that stuff. But like you never really explored his murderous side. Like what was Red Hood year one looks like? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm more interested in, like Red Hood year one. Right. So I think that should be explored in on the All In. That's just my opinion at it. But like, hey, whatever comes with May of this with the Red Hood thing. But I agree, man. Like the Batman thing, they've done so much with Batman that it's kind of hard to keep it fresh, right?
yeah.
But if they focus in them like the whole Bruce Wayne part of it, like which it seems like that's what they're doing. They're focusing more on the Bruce Wayne part of it. I think if they do that, it makes Batman secondary. I think that's going to make things a little bit more interesting.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. That's kind of wraps it up here. We went a little bit longer, but it was good talks, a lot of things to talk about here. So Tim, really appreciate you coming on, man. I had a lot of fun talking with you both on your show and then back on ours. Like we said, you guys don't know, we filmed or recorded an hour previously for Tim's show, Uncensored Nerds, which will come out here in a couple of weeks or so, and then we did ours. So we've been talking to Tim here for almost like 2.5, 3 hours now. So this has been a lot of fun.
We spent time already, like and then half of those hours we were just kind of berating Justin with Bluey stuff.
Just Bluey talk. So
the Bluey talk, man.
Tim, once again, can you kind of direct everyone where they can find you on all your platforms?
Sure. I'm on Instagram, obviously, too, as like everyone else. Just type in Uncensored Nerds. I'm the only one there that says Uncensored Nerds. I'm also on Threads, but that's already automatic. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll follow me on Threads now, too. I don't have any Twitter. You can find Uncensored Nerds on YouTube, but that's all clips. If you're interested in any of those interviews, you can also go ahead and click on the link on my Instagram to my Spotify page, or you can just type in Uncensored Nerds on Spotify. You'll see I'll be the first one that you'll see there, and then you'll see all the interviews and all the podcasts that I have in there with all the creators or writers that I previously interviewed. I have like 3-4 new ones coming out by the time this drops. But yeah, no, that's where you can find me.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tim, for coming on. Yeah. Guys, we talk books every week. We talk our weekly reads. We talk articles, but man, and Tim just crushes it. If you want to see what the mind of a writer or artist, just check out Uncensored Nerds.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. No, thank you for having me here, man. I've been following and listening to you guys for a while. So this is actually really nice being in this podcast, man. It's kind of weird though, because I'm not a host. So I'm just
know it's chiller, right? When you don't have to host, you're just kind of
like, well, it's kind of weird. It's like that part in Talladega Nights when Ricky Bobby's like, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this mic? I'm like,
sit back, relax.
Yeah, it's like, why is everything in full screen? Why are you seeing like my soundboard and everything? What's going on in here? So it's kind of awkward, but thank you for having me here, guys.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Welcome anytime. So thanks everyone. Oh, sorry, Justin, anything you got coming up?
No. No, just look forward to our episodes this week. Check out the Penguin review, and then Uncensored Nerds in December is when the other portion of this collaboration is dropping. So check it out and make sure you check out all of Tim's stuff. So that's all I got.
This tie-in.
Cool. Yeah, it's a tie-in. Cool, everybody. Thanks, and we'll catch you later. Peace.
Thank you.
Hey, comic book collectors. Do you want to protect what you collect? Do you hate when your comic books slide around in your short box, or you need to turn them sideways just so they don't bend or fall over? Well, look no further than Sidekick Supplies. Their product fits firmly inside your comic box, so you don't need to worry. And not only is their product made in the USA, but also ships free directly to your doorstep. Check out our sponsor, Sidekick Supplies, at sidekicksupplies.com and use the code ComicCom15 for 15% off your purchase. Believe me, you'll be ordering more than one.